Hi guys, and welcome back to our channel. I am here to do a Q&A today. We're going to be chatting about pregnancy and birth and being a mother. So Peyton on the weekend just hit her 9-month milestone, which means I've been a mum for the same amount of time that I was pregnant for, which is crazy. 9 months in versus 9 months out. So I thought, let's just go over what I've learned in the past 18 months. Peyton is playing with my mum down the other end of the house, so if you can hear any noises, that's them. A few people asked about morning sickness and if I had it. I did do a pregnancy Q&A where we chat about like the first and second trimester. Yes, I did have morning sickness up until about 14 weeks and then it stopped. Tips that really helped me was when I woke up in the morning, I would eat straight away. I'd have like maybe a banana or crackers beside my bed, and when I woke up I had to eat something, and drinking heaps of water. So my only tips was just to keep on top of food. If I let myself get hungry, I would end up being sick. So I just had to have food in my belly. Another like pre-baby question was, how did you prepare to conceive? So Codes and I were obviously trying. I'd gone off the pill, I think, just after our wedding. And then we started trying 3 months after that. And then 11 months later, we fell pregnant. Went off the pill. I ended up getting checked at the doctor. Cody got checked just to make sure everything was okay. I was doing acupuncture. We had a pretty healthy diet and healthy lifestyle as well. If I was someone who was training obsessively at the gym, I would have slowed that down just to help my body be at its best self, ready to conceive. I've changed the angle slightly, so it's a bit more chill, like we're just chatting to each other, chatting to some friends. Someone said, did you tear? How to avoid tearing. I did not, and I think it's because my labor was so long. Another question was, how long did my labor go for? And it was 19 hours. The last like hour and 15 was when I was pushing. So 18 hours of labor and then an hour and a bit of pushing. And I think that just gave my body enough time to stretch and loosen and do its thing. I know that like quicker labors and babies that come really fast often hurt the mother a bit more in that aspect of things. I also went in with a few little mottos that I had learnt. So the Naked Doula on Instagram is a midwife and a doula in the UK, and she is a legend. She has a few little like sayings that she says. So one of them is floppy face, a floppy fanny. And so I just kept saying that. I was like, I'm not tensing my muscles. I'm going to be so relaxed. And I was like, Codes will vouch for me. The whole birth, I was so chill. I wasn't fighting the contractions either. I was just like leaning into them. Anytime one would come, I would sort of just go into my head. I'd shut my eyes and just breathe and make sure my face wasn't tense. So there is actual science behind that. There's muscles in your jaw that are connected to your pelvis. So if you are tense and clenching and stuff, it is making it harder for your baby to get out. So there is actual science there, but that was one of them. Another one that the Naked Doula talks about is breathe baby out. Every time you do like a bring your whole body down to try and move the baby downwards in a sort of gentle way. See, I did all those little things, but also I think it comes down to genetics. It comes down to your labor. You can prepare and plan to do things one way, and then in the throes of labor, it might go completely opposite. So birth plans are just a piece of paper. There's ways you can want to do things and then it doesn't turn out that way. But those are my little tips. A few questions about the newborn phase. If it put a stress on our relationship as new parents, I would say no. It brought us probably closer together having a baby. And Codes and I will both say like Peyton is our favorite person. So I think just our love for her is just so big that it just makes it so great. And like we've obviously bonded over how much we love her, and learning how to parent together has just been great. We've just enjoyed it so much, and I think that really shows how ready we were for it as well. Some people have asked how we knew we were ready. We had been together for 7 years when we got married, and then obviously we started trying 3 months after that. So we really knew each other. It was just our next step. We had built our house, we were living in our home, we had planned a wedding, had our wedding, got our dog. We just knew it was our next step. We wanted to be parents pretty young. So I'm almost 25, Cody's 24. I'm really happy with the way things turned out. And yeah, I wouldn't have probably done anything any different. Lots of questions about if we struggled in the newborn phase, how we went with no sleep. I feel like the number one tip I sort of have for people, which I definitely did myself, was I didn't Google things. I don't think I've ever Googled anything regarding Peyton. I just knew. I have a gut instinct. If something's not right, I will know. I didn't want to freak myself out by reading too much. I ate up a lot of information while I was pregnant, but then once she was here, I was like, I'm just gonna let myself naturally do this. And so I really just went with the flow, and I feel like you've sort of got to. Having a newborn is just pretty wild. Like they really depict your whole life. Like they are the boss. Another question I got asked was, knowing what I know now as a first-time mum, what would I tell someone who is about to become a mum or a new mum? And probably the no Googling thing is honestly my best tip. I just think go with your gut, like everything. My pregnancy, I was so chill. My birth, I was so chill. And motherhood, I've just been as calm as possible. I love it. I know I'm going to be a great mother for my baby, and I know what her best interests are, so I just think I just go with my gut. Yeah, that's probably my top tip, is mother knows best. Peyton was a relatively good sleeper, so we never really struggled too bad with sleep as a newborn. I mean, she was up feeding probably every 3 hours, but she would fall asleep straight away after a feed, or sometimes while feeding, so she would easily just get transferred back into her bed and I'd just fall straight back to sleep. I loved our co-sleeper for that as well, because getting up every 3 hours, at least I was just sitting up in bed, reaching over, grabbing her, and then I could fall back asleep. I wasn't getting up and down out of the covers, especially in winter. Another question was asking about Peyton's sleep routine now and if we started sleep training. So I think at around 6 months, I had a few really bad nights with her. Like we were up almost every hour. She never really went through a 4-month sleep regression, but then at like 6 months, I don't know, she went through this really weird like week of waking up almost every hour, and I was like, what is going on? I cannot function with this. Worse sleep then than I did with her as a newborn. I had a couple books that I ordered when I was pregnant that I never really properly read, so I got them out and I was like, I'm gonna read about sleep routines and sleep training. Routines for babies are very controversial. People are either for it or against it, but this is what worked for us, so please no negative comments down below. But I read the book Save Our Sleep by Tizzy Hall. I mean, you can take what's in it with a grain of salt. You can take what you want from it and ignore other parts. She sort of wrote out like a good routine for each age. So if you flip through, I like found the age that Peyton was at, saw her sleep routine that should work for her, and I started implementing that. So at 6 months, she moved into her own cot. We set a really strict nighttime routine, and she is so good at putting herself to sleep. We've always sort of let her put herself to sleep for her day naps. I've always popped her in her cot in her room. So when we did introduce nighttime cot, it wasn't like it was an unknown place, which I think really helped. If there's any new mums out there who are expecting, I think that was a really easy way to get her comfortable with her own room and her cot. So day naps were always in her room, in her cot, and then night sleeps we had the co-sleeper. When we swapped over, it made it a lot easier. I also listened to Georgie Stevenson's podcast on how she got her, I think it was like 3-month-old, to be sleeping through the night, and hers was a lot about sleep training as well. And I found that Peyton has thrived off having that set routine. She loves her bed, she loves her nighttime routine. She also loves her day naps. She's a really good sleeper in the day. She'll go for like 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and she has 2 day naps. And when she's awake, I obviously want to enrich her as much as possible. So like we will read books, we will play, we will go for walks, we will socialize, we'll sing, we'll dance, and that tires her out perfectly, ready for her next nap. So it's working really well at the moment, touch wood, and she's loving life, I'm loving life. People are asking about my plans for work for next year. As a family, we sort of didn't want me to go back to work full-time. Codes was so supportive of me being a stay-at-home mother, which is amazing. So we have tossed up some options, and I think I'm going to be going back to dancing next year, a couple days, and that is just afternoon work, which is really easy. I'm not away from Peyton for too long, and we're able to have a family member watch Peyton during those times, which is great, so we don't have to introduce daycare. A few people asked about newborn essentials. I did do a whole video on that, and I will link that in the description and add a little card up here, but I went through all of them in that. Someone asked what our favorite thing to do together is at the moment. for me and Peyton, and probably her dancing lessons. So she's going to dancing on a Monday morning. Oh my gosh, my heart. She just loves it so much. She smiles, she giggles, she squeals the whole time, and it is so fun. She is obsessed with all the other kids in the class, and then she loves dancing. So at the moment, if you say dancing, she like starts dancing like this, and if you say wiggle, she goes like this. It's so cute. She also does if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, and she does it on time. So cute. She is currently saying bub 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 and mum mum mum. Mum is currently the favorite this week, so I am getting that word all the time. Every time I try and record it, she stops. She knows when the phone's on her, the little pest. So we're just waiting for her to say dad. We're saying it on repeat in the hopes that she can say dad for codes. A few people asked about how I like balance work life, time for myself, and motherhood. Honestly, I am loving this time in my life. Like, this is the best season of my life I've ever been in. I love motherhood, I love being this housewife, stay-at-home mum. It's just the best. I am still obviously doing YouTube work. I'm also doing a little bit of social media work for my dancing job, and I do most of that while Peyton naps. I try and get the big house jobs done while Peyton sleeps as well. My me time probably is also sort of done when she's sleeping or at night time. Codes and I watch a few TV shows, so that's definitely some me time. We sit and we eat dinner together while Peyton's in bed. We watch some episodes of our favorite TV show. I might read in bed, so that's sort of some me time. And then Thursday nights I go to dancing, and I do like dance classes for myself, not teaching, which I love. So Codes watches Peyton on a Thursday night. It's his little daddy-daughter night, and I get to go and do tap and jazz, which is something I've always done. So it's so good to be back doing that for myself. Someone asked if we could choose the age gaps between our children. What would they be? I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 years. I'm thinking, I don't know, I might change my mind. Peyton might hit 2 and I might miss having a little baby, but don't really know. It's actually crazy to think in 3 months I'm gonna have a 1-year-old and I need to start planning her birthday. Like, that is just wild to me. I feel like it was yesterday and I had her. Someone asked if I could review some of the big purchases that we made. Her bassinet we got off Marketplace, her cot we got off Marketplace, and we just painted it. The bassinet was pretty expensive. It's a Sacred Bundle one, so even off Marketplace it was still pretty pricey, but I love it so much. I used it heaps. I probably should pack it away now, but I just love how it looks in her nursery. Our pram, we got a Baby Bee Rover, and we love it so much. It is the nicest pram. Another purchase that I absolutely adore is our clip carrier. So when she was younger, I used a Checo clip carrier and I loved it, but then she got to the age where she sort of wanted to be facing forward, so I had to purchase a different brand. So I ended up getting the Winter and Willem clip carrier, and she loves it. It is so great. If we're out at nighttime and she's due asleep, we just strap her in facing us and she'll fall asleep like so easily. Cody had her when I was a bridesmaid at a wedding, and she fell asleep in the carrier, and he'd like danced and everything. She stayed asleep. I also loved our baby born bouncer when she was younger. That is also a bit of a pricey option. I'm sure you could get probably more affordable ones that would do the same thing, but I did love the look of the one that we got. It's very neutral and very us, so I would repurchase. In regards to car seats, we got ones that go from newborn to 4 years, so you definitely get your money's worth out of those. We didn't go for a capsule because they grow out of them so quickly, and we also wanted Peyton to get used to transitioning in and out of a car seat. I didn't want her to hate getting in and out of one, and she is pretty good, so I think that goal definitely worked. Someone asked how much I knew about birth before giving birth compared to after and being through it. I listened to so many podcasts while I was trying to conceive, while I was pregnant, that definitely touched on a lot of topics regarding birth, regarding falling pregnant, regarding motherhood and newborns. I love some of the Darling Shine episodes regarding infertility. They talk to a lot of specialists on there, which is great. The other one is, I love Beyond the Bump, and I love Welcome to the Womb. Welcome to the Womb was probably my favorite. I think I listened to every episode twice. I listened to them before I was pregnant, and then when I was like close to giving birth. I listened to a lot of birth stories on there, and they've got one that's like surviving the first week with a newborn. It's great as well, and it's a midwife who runs the podcast, so it is amazing. So I do feel like I was pretty informed beforehand. I definitely knew what I was getting myself into. I knew what I wanted. I felt pretty confident. That is sort of all the updates that I have. That's answering most of the questions. If you have a question that I didn't answer, just leave it below in the comments and I will try and get back to you. I had such a great 9 months being pregnant, and I've had the best 9 months being a mum, and it was so good to chat with you guys and catch up today like little besties, just having a convo. And I will see you guys in next week's video. Bek and Cody and Peyton and Oakley out.